the last couple times we've done this, there's nobody here. Do I have to ask for there's nobody here. Do I have to ask for comment?
You can just make the comment that says, you'd say,
Nobody
this is public comment time, but there's no one here, moving on, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's good to remember the structure so that, you know.
Next item of business, so you can just kind of go.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no one present.
Got somebody. I heard a door open.
You even put it in here. Nice.
Hello.
Start whenever now.
Hi, how are you?
All right. All right, I would like to call the regular Airport Advisory Committee meeting of November 20th, 2025 to order at 6 p.m. Secretary, please take roll.
Aaron McCarty,
Present?
Charles Morris, absent. Kevin McCabe, absent. Austin Bolowa,
Present.
Michael Lucas.
Present.
All right. Mr. Lucas, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Does the committee have any adjustments to tonight's meeting agenda? Hearing no changes to the agenda will stand as presented. Can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, approved and seconded. If there are no objections, the consent agenda is approved as presented. Does the committee have any adjustments to the August 21st, 2025 meeting minutes as presented? All right, hearing no changes to the minutes will stand as presented. I need a motion to approve the August 21st, 2025 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, approved and seconded. If there are no objections, the meeting minutes are approved as presented. Moving on, staff reports. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you. So tonight we'll just talk a little bit about, we'll have more opportunity later on, but I just want to make the board aware that Mr. Charles Morris is leaving the board. So he had been on for a few years and hadn't made too many meetings, but his time on the board was coming to an end and he decided not to renew. So we do have an open seat. So if you know anyone that wants to apply to be on the board, there's an application process online, or we can get them a paper copy. It goes in front of the mayor. She makes the selection. So if anyone in the audience is interested in applying, we can help them with that after this. But that's all I had for reports tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Public comment. Do we have any public comments from the audience?
Yeah, I'll jump up.
Yeah. I guess write your name. Is that right?
Go ahead, give him a pen.
Well, I've got a pen right here.
I've got one too.
Are the agendas in the back?
Just on.
They're back over there.
Awesome. And then can we have state your name for the record as well?
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. My name is John Dementi. I'm the airport manager for the city of Palmer. And just want to come in and just give you an update for Palmer. And first of all, reading through the meeting notes, wanted to commend you on bringing airport fees and charges back up to, up to where they should be. We'll probably be following suit here shortly. And so we didn't raise our rates this year, and we did raise them the other year to match the city of Wasilla. So nice work.
Good.
You might have heard a little bit about Palmer in the news. We're having some struggles The sponsor of the airport decided to build a golf course on AIP purchased land. So right now, the airport's nearly built out, so we're coming to pay the piper, so to speak, of that decision. So it's, whether the golf course is gonna stay or not is still up in the air. And it is a contentious issue with the city. Also next year, we've been approved for a lighting upgrade, converting from incandescent to LED lights. And so you'll see some intermittent closures, taxiway, runway closures, as well as probably a full airport closure at some point next year for a very short duration. In addition, we're going to be conducting an airport master plan next year. We're going to be applying for the grant next year, probably starting the planning sessions, maybe late spring, going over the course of the summer. Looking to do it in a couple of sessions or a couple of phases, so it should last a couple of years. Wasilla, you're absolutely invited to participate in the planning session. So we want to work with you. Palmer and Wasilla, I think we're close enough together. We need to work together and support each other. Also, along that line, we are conducting an appraisal of airport property to include the golf course, and we'll be. I'll make sure we share the results of that with you when those are complete, or when that's complete. I'm expecting RFP should go out next week, and expecting to have it completed the first of the year. So, happy to stick around to answer any questions you have, and thank you very much for what you do.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely interested in working with Palmer for sure, especially with the rate increase, making sure that consistency across the valley, I think I would be in favor of, and I think that would be a wise way to go. So thank you.
Have you already finished the new business part?
We're still just on the initial public comment, so if you'd like to make a comment, you're more than welcome to.
We're number 7 right now.
Okay, you're on this. Okay, I saw the later public comment. Okay.
Yeah. You good? Okay. So, with no more comment, moving on to unfinished business. So we have no unfinished business. We'll move on to new business. Taxiway Kilo project update. Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, thank you. So we are starting Taxiway Kilo, of course. We had the bids come out in late summer. Ahtna was the low bidder out of 11 bids, which was phenomenal. Took them a while to get their paperwork in. There's really no rush, but they've been compiling everything, getting their subcontractors, and that process requires them to submit a bunch of the documents, and then we can move to signing the contract and then giving them the notice to proceed. That just happened, and so we had the pre-construction meeting last week, which is an opportunity for the contractor to tell us who their team is, their superintendents, project managers, all that. They have their complete subcontractor list submitted to us, and then they get to meet the owners, reps, us, and then our contract administrators and designers, which are HDL. So we sat down and talked about the chain of command, talked about the flow of information, talked about the submittal process, talked about how that review is going to happen. And they are probably going to mob in some equipment before the winter really kicks in. Probably won't be doing much work, but they just want to get some equipment on site, kind of have it stored there for the winter, maybe think it through. They've started their SWIP development. They have to provide a plan on their haul route because we gave them a couple options. They could stay on the airfield and go down the side of the runway apron, if you will. But there are some, like the AWAS is over there, and there's some other structures that they have to explain to us how they'll get around that. The proximity to the runway means that they also have to be very careful about their hauling route and their height restrictions, and they have to explain, it's the safety plan, they have to explain how they're going to operate within that. The bid had or the design documents had an offered plan, but they have to mold it to what they want to do for their operations. And then we do expect there to be some road hauling, and so we have provisions in there to keep the dust down and have sweeping and just limit the impacts to airport users and the neighborhood that drives through. So there'll be more information to come as they complete the initial plan submissions. And we are probably going to have monthly progress meetings until they really get going, and then it'll jump up to weekly. There's going to be some on-site project management trailers. That location hasn't been identified yet. So in the next month and a half, you'll start to see, if you're out on the airfield, you'll start to see them show up. So we're looking forward to a good project. The bulk of the work, of course, is going to happen next summer, and it'll bleed into the summer after that, but we hope to see most of the material moved. One of the things to make the board aware of, we have enough space at the current permitted waste disposal area at the end of the runway, the part that we're expanding, of about 70% of the material that we need to move. And so HDL is in the middle of expanding our permitted waste disposal area to get the rest of the 30%. So we're kind of happy that they didn't try to hit the ground running so hard this fall, because we need to finish that through FAA. We have monthly meetings with them, and so that was on, with FAA, that was on the docket today to talk about their environmental review. It's just an expansion of the approved site, and so we'll be expanding that before they get too far along so that we can keep all the material on site, because we don't want to lose nor pay for trucking of any of the material off site. It's very valuable to us, and it just needs to go into that further expansion. Are there any questions on that from the board?
Did the recent, we'll go with drama that happened with the federal government, as far as the FAA sort of shutting down for a period of time, does that affect any of the projects that we have going in the airport?
No. The our FAA folks stayed on even during the shutdown.
Oh.
We actually benefited a little bit because there were some local folks that were covering for down south projects, and they were put on hold for those, but they kept reviewing our stuff. So I think we're actually a little bit ahead, just because the staff up here are really dedicated, and we haven't seen any impacts to that, but we're happy that they're back up to full speed. So
No, it's good to hear.
Did Aetna have a timeline when they had their submittal for their haul plan?
they were a little nebulous about it. We're hoping in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to the next item. Update to Resolution 2301, fee increase. Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, so the board in 23 took up the torch of what to do about the rates, and I thought it was a very robust process. We got public comment, and then we were heading into the master plan that had, the financial review of the revenue and expenses for the airport, and then it kind of stalled because that has to go through the city council, and they were really tied up with a bunch of other things, especially the Title 16 land use code complete rewrite. Well, they're interested now in looking at the rates, and it's good timing because of the completion of our master plan. There was like I said, a financial review that got stalled because of the need for our finance director to review the numbers that went into it. And we had some turnover in staff in May, and so it just languished as we tried to get someone on staff to have the time and the capability to dive into the numbers and just figure out why some of them didn't quite make sense. So we've been successful in doing that kind of internal review, and the numbers have been resubmitted through our contractor, our consultant, HDL, and their financial consultants. So we're anticipating having it ready to roll out it goes to FAA, and then it will come out through the final presentation, basically. And it's recommending basically the rate increases that the advisory board provided a couple of years ago. roughly 10 cents per square foot for the lease rates. And then it is going to recommend things like fuel flowage, which wasn't recommended in the package back 2 years ago, and some other kind of standardized rates that normal GA airports see. And that'll be useful as we go into this next budget cycle, in knowing that the council has the appetite to review it and wants to improve the budget or the financial statements of the airport as we, approach all these bigger projects. So we don't have a timeline yet because it's going to go in parallel with the budget process, and that's still in flux. So in the next few months, we'll have a schedule from the finance department on when we'll be meeting with the council on budget review, and we can back extrapolate when we should start talking about it with the council. So I'll keep you all informed so that we can have, it'd be good to have board representation at those meetings, just kind of talk about your involvement in the process. And then, of course, have the public notification so the public can come and share their concerns or feelings on the process. And I believe, so the resolution that's referenced, Reso 2301, is in the packet. So just to recap on that for the record. So the resolution supports an increase to 10 cents per square foot for hangar lease rates, increasing tie downs to $40 per month without electricity and $75 a month with tie downs that have electricity, and then increasing the transient day rate parking to $10 per day or $200 per month. Any questions from the board on that?
Has HDL, I know that when we did that original resolution back in '23, there was a sheet where we did a survey of nearby airports. And if HDL is kind of recommending what we had put forward in the past, that was quite a few years ago. Has there been another survey done, specifically like reaching out to Palmer or Birchwood or some of the other airports that could maybe provide consistency across the valley?
Yes, that was part of the financial review through, I think it's Northern Economics.
Okay.
They pulled in data from comparable airports, either locally or around the state of similar size, and that's kind of how they formulate it. So it very much parallel with the advisory board's experience and recommendations. So yeah, and in its guidance, I think they plays in your resolution and that financial study go hand in hand with the council reviewing it and bring confidence in, some subject matter expert input. And the other thing that we'll be using is a tool that we have called, it's called Waterworth, but they're transitioning the name to Muniworth. And basically it's a guided budgeting process. So they absorb our financial data and they use graphical analysis to help decision makers kind of understand the responses if they decide to. So a good example is if you know that you have a bunch of capital projects coming up, if you delay because you don't want to raise rates, what does that do for your cost revenue at the end? It helps them decide that if making a decisive decision now pays dividends in the future, we can do that. And it takes numbers which are hard to digest and puts them into graphical representations. And then the model is very flexible, so you can change it. And when a council member says, well, what if we don't do that now? What if we wait? What if we go up 2 cents instead of 4 and we wait 2 years? Well, they can show that very quickly and help show what that does, either positively or negatively for the budget. And so we'll be taking these numbers and feeding it back into that and using them as a resource as well to help make long-term data-driven decisions.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I know that operating since 2023 in our business there at the Westfield Airport, we've seen massive increase in costs and our projections that we thought would cost. Is there, I know that you're still working through budget of different things, but have you seen just sort of in general an increase in costs or a significant reduction in the budget sort of going deeper into the red? Or is
Yeah,
it-
well, and we've been pretty fortunate that we, some of the increase in costs have been a bit overshadowed by us trying to improve what we offer. So in the last budget cycle, the council approved another half FTE to the airport, so another half position. We talk full-time equivalency for positions. So that position is half airport, half roads, and that means that we can have basically 2 people out at the airport at one time, where we had 1 FTE before. So that load is spread between the roads costs and the airport enterprise fund, and so that's an escalation of cost, but it's also it provides more service. We have more people to respond, so storms or whatever maintenance happens faster. But labor rates are going up. That's a union position. Their union contract is up for negotiation this next year. So after the first of the year, negotiations will start. We're going to see an escalation, of course, because that's just the way the economics are going right now. So there's going to be a pretty big hit for the operation costs, even for that new position. So there's going to be a lot of pressure to acknowledge that the operations funds are coming from, there's a fair amount of money that comes from sales tax that comes back to the airport. And that was something that came to light to the public 2 years ago when we talked about that. So
Yeah.
we're trying to manage our desire to grow and provide better service with the fact that we know it's going to cost more and that there needs to be some additional revenue.
Yeah. My fear would be our original resolution does not account for a lot of that, and that we
Yeah.
maybe need to look at updating it in order to ensure that the airport remains healthy and self-sufficient as opposed to operating in the red.
And I think that we could definitely, this body is nimble enough that when the finance department has outlined what our schedule is, and through direction from the mayor, how we're gonna bring it to the council, there's probably an opportunity for another updated resolution as we feed those final numbers from the master plan financial forecast back into the Muni Worth interface, and kind of, because there's going to be a presentation associated with it that will come together, and I think there'll be an opportunity for the advisory board to decide if they want to pick up that resolution and amend it in some way.
Any questions? Okay. Moving on, Airport Advisory Commission dates. Mr. Shaw,
Yeah, thank you. So we're almost at the beginning of the new year, so it's a good time to talk about what meeting dates we want to have. You may recall last year I had floated the idea of moving back to quarterly meetings, and I think it was Commissioner McCabe who said, let's keep monthly meetings, and then we can just cancel if we don't have business. I'm all right with that if that's what the will of the board is. So this is what we are proposing, is on page 9 of the packet, is that I'll look at what we have and poll the board before the deadline for acknowledgement on the website, and we can cancel if we need to, or we can keep it. So I'm just looking for a motion from the advisory board on if you want to accept the dates or if you want to make any amendments to it.
I'm pretty happy with how things have been going, especially just being able to have the flexibility to meet as needed. So I'd like to put a motion forward to accept the dates that have been presented as a.
Second.
Seconded. All right. And then, do we have to hold a vote on that? or-
We'd ask for discussion.
Okay, yeah. I feel like it's worked well.
Yeah.
Do you have any further comment?
I have no comment.
And then you could say if there's no objections.
Okay. Yeah, no, if there's no objections, then we will, what will be the term? Oh, vote for it. I'm sorry.
So if there's no objections, you don't have to vote. You could just say it's been accepted.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, well, that's been accepted. Moving on, public comment. If there's any further comment or discussion from the public,
Just, you know, a couple years ago,
would you like to come up? I think information and then just state your name so that way we got it on record.
Yeah, Harry Zola,
Yeah.
airport tenant. Yeah, so a couple years ago, we had that meeting about increasing the rates. And I remember there were like 20 people here, and it was unanimous against the plan, but it was passed by the board. So one of the arguments was the relative, you say you did a study about relative costs. And do you have, you said you did one, is that information on, available in some record?
Yeah, there's a packet associated with it. We can dig it back up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we compiled it together. It's. It was working fine till I turned it off. We can rehost it so it's easier to see, and we'll get your contact information before you leave. We can email it to you.
Contact to, or, I mean, is it on the website?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
But we can lead you right to it. So before you leave tonight, we'll just make sure if you want to email, we can send it to you.
Yeah, because okay, so your discussion tonight was more about the updating costs and
Yeah.
future costs and. Yeah, it
The
was-
way the process
Back then, it
works-
was more about the relative changes and relative services available, and services really haven't changed that much, but obviously the costs have of everything. But-
Well, and one of the things with the master plan is that the FAA reviews it, looks at the books and says, you need to stay up with your costs, your rates need to stay with the market. And so we'll start to be penalized by the FAA, and they'll say you're not charging enough, so you're not eligible for grants, you're not eligible for ACIP stuff. You have to stay up with costs.
Do you remember like a couple comparative airports that you used in this decision?
Yeah, so we didn't exclude any airports in the valley. So Palmer's one of them. We looked at Willow. I know we looked at Merrill Field, Birchwood, and everyone says don't use Merrill Field because they're too expensive. But you don't want to leave the neighbors off, even if you have to caveat. So like for instance, Merrill Fields is 26 cents per square foot, and they're raising it to 28 here soon.
Well, I mean, that's why I was asking, because, several people mentioned that we're being compared to airports that offer a lot more than Wasilla. And so it wasn't really, or I kind of agreed that it wasn't, these relative comparative prices really weren't comparing.
Well, and
Yeah,
so-
it was more apples to oranges in a way.
Well, and so what the FAA looks at is, as they look at the runway, and then as you get further from the runway, the less support they provide. And so their review is not going to be quite as detailed as maybe the consumers is. So their expectations are not quite as detailed. So if you were to say what we offer doesn't really compare to some of the other, like maybe Birchwood, for instance, the FAA would say, we're not really going to take that into account because we're going to look at the size of the runway, we're going to look at how many tie downs you have, how many hangars you have, and that's really what's going to push us, is that the FAA is going to say you either own up to the fact that we have expectations for you to be a non-DOT sponsored airport, or you're gonna have to fund it completely yourself. So they're politely, but they're nipping at our heels to make the updates that they expect to see, so that we keep getting FAA funding and support.
All right, I'll review that information.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we compare to Merrill Field or, maybe Lakewood, I don't know.
All right, thank you very much. Staff and committee comments. Do we have any comments or?
I wanted to give you another update. So we've been giving tours to different constituents. So I may have talked about one of the last meetings, but we've had Sullivan and Murkowski out for tours, and then I've been giving council member tours of the facility, and Silver Skies was generous enough to meet with us. So those have been instrumental in helping them see the vision at the airport, understand what the big projects are. And also talking about their feelings on rates and where we are for revenue, that sort of thing. We had an opportunity to go visit Merrill Field last week, so we met with Earl and his team and learned about the things they're working on. And one of the really neat things that I learned about was a system that would help us. We're struggling with the planners at FAA to have them see the growth that we're planning for in our fleet size, trying to get to that 2B size, or B2, I mean. And so because we don't have any way of really knowing who's out there, we've been struggling with that. And they showed us a product called 1200.aero, I think is what it's called. Anyway, it's a localized, how would you put it? It tracks usage, usually through ATSB information, but it also has kind of a local receiver. And so I'm going to be talking to them in the next couple weeks to see if that would help us augment our actual activity numbers. And the FAA has said that they're not really supportive of the numbers we have moving us to the 5,100-foot runway right now. So we've just got to gather up all of the information that we can for the number of flights and transits in and out. So it's pretty inexpensive, so it's less than a couple grand a year, it looks like, for the size of our airport. So I'm cautiously optimistic that it will bring us some good data that we can take back to the planners and leverage that. So
Good deal. Any further comment?
Comment right now?
All right. Hearing no other business, this meeting is adjourned.